everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to talk about all the books that I read last week. So it is Sunday afternoon, and normally I like to film these videos Saturday mornings, maybe Sunday mornings before church, because now by Sunday afternoon, some of these books, it's been a while. We've lived a very chaotic weekend. Friday, the baby turned 1. Saturday, my husband turned a certain number. Sunday, today, we had family pictures, and we've got to get ready for co-op tomorrow because tomorrow's fall parties and all the things. So it has been a really chaotic weekend. So forgive me if I'm feeling like a little frazzled and not as eloquent as I normally am, right? I mean, because I'm normally just nailing this. But let's talk about the books I read. So there's 2 middle grade, a whole bunch of adult, and then I'm currently in the middle of a lot of things. But I will say the past couple weeks, I've come on a little gloom and doom about my reading and how it's just not been great, and I'm not loving anything, and I'm DNFing a lot. And I'm happy to say that's improving. But let's start with the books that we have finished, me and the kids. So we finished, let's see. Hold up the right one. Adventure According to Humphrey. And this one is good. I mean, we're really enjoying this Humphrey series. It is a wholesome series about a class hamster. And I feel more than comfortable handing these off to my girls, or we are actually listening to the audiobooks. And I will, I've said a lot, the most time we listen to an audiobook is working on a puzzle. And we have not been doing it a lot because the puzzle we're working on is a Chiefs puzzle. And it's so much red, and it's a weird shape, and so the outline was really hard, but now we are in business, and so we haven't been puzzling just because it's been so busy, but I can foresee more puzzling. This was mostly in the car in short bursts, and so it didn't feel super memorable to me, but it was still a cute installment. Then we're reading with our eyes, The Kicks, and I love this series. It's about a middle school soccer team. There is a little bit of like dating conversation and crushes, and this one is it's winter time, and they live in Southern California, so the weather doesn't really impact them, but they are obviously not playing with their school soccer team. So Devin is our main character. She tries out for a winter league, not knowing this is her first winter in this town, and so she doesn't know like how competitive it is, and so she gets on this team, and they're all just girls from all over the city, and nobody gets along. One of their kind of arch nemesis is on the team, and so she's really unfriendly, even though now they're teammates, and so she's dealing with that situation. She's also dealing with all of her best friends who are on the Kicks. They are all on different teams. And so there's that situation where she feels like the Kicks are kind of falling apart because they all have these different friends, different interests, different things going on. One of the Kicks is actually off filming a movie with this, pop star guy. And there's a lot of like crushy talk on that. And I didn't love that, but whatever. Then last, her sister is trying to play soccer too, but she's 8, and the elementary soccer got canceled because of funding. So she's trying to help those 3 areas, keep the Kicks together, work out this new team, and help her little sister. And so she's trying to pull a hat trick to get all of those. So this was super cute. I really like it. Like I said, a little too much on the crush talk for me, but again, if this is targeted at a middle school audience, I would say it's perfectly appropriate for that. So there's that. So currently, we are reading Summer According to Humphrey. I'll talk more about current reads later, but yeah, we're listening to this. We'll listen to this as we puzzle together. But okay, now let's talk about the adult books that I read or tried to read or whatever. So we have, first is A Grown Up Kinda Pretty by Jocelyn Jackson. So this is for my October book I'll revisit. I will link that down below, but I ended up giving this a 2-star. I'm going to unhaul it. It is 3 generations of women. They all have had babies at 15. So the grandma is 45, the mom is 30, and the young girl is now 15. And so we find bones in the body, in the backyard, bones of like a baby. And the mom, so the 30-year-old, she is had an awful stroke. So she is not able to speak. And so she's like freaking out. And we know it's the bones of her baby. So who is this 15-year-old? How did she get this baby? We're following Mosey, the 15-year-old, trying to figure out who she is, where she came from. However, we kind of know the whole time. And so there just wasn't a lot of tension. I didn't really like any of the characters. There's that. Then I was wanting a physical read because I do best when I have a physical read, an ebook, and an audiobook. I just love having the options, and having those options just gives me the momentum, I think, to continue on. And I think that's been part of my problem is I haven't had really good physical reads. So my kids, I was like, hey, pick anything off these shelves, and they picked a couple, and I picked this one, Hank and Chloe, and this is by Joanne Mapson. So my name is Chloe. My dog's name was Hanks because I love Tom Hanks. He has now died, but I bought this way back when because, you know, my name's Chloe and my dog's name was Hanks. And this, I read 70 pages of it, and it was perfectly fine. It just wasn't one that I was like wanting to pick back up. So I went ahead and DNF'd it. It's following a professor and this girl who is like, she's a waitress slash horse doula. I don't know. And she, like, they interact and are going to have a romance, but again, he's kind of whiny and she is like so beautiful and nobody can keep up with her because she's just this wonderful girl. She's this guy's girl and also this girl's girl and just all the perfect things. And I don't know. I didn't like this. I mean, I didn't like her. And again, 70 pages in, really nothing had happened like with romance or with other plots. So we're going to let that one go. Then let's see, we have, How About Now by Kate Baer. So I was talking about this last week. It is a book of poetry that comes out. It might be out now, either into October or early November. And I shared some poems that were my favorite last week. And I just really like Kate Baer. She writes, women's poetry about being a mom, being a woman, having a body, all the things in today's day and age and today's culture. And I will say this one has a little more depression content than I typically than I could relate to, I guess, because thankfully that is something I have not suffered from. But I have suffered from anxiety, and kind of the mental health rep there is great. And there, like I said, there were probably out of the book, there were maybe 10 that were really impactful to me. So I would recommend it. I like Kate Baer, and I think she has something for everybody. Then we have Jesus Doesn't Care About Your Messy House. He Cares About Your Heart by Dana K. White. So she wrote Decluttering at the Speed of Life and the 100 Ways to Organize or something. I don't know. I really liked her other two books, and she's got a very conversational, kind of gentle, practical voice. And I did not like this one very much. This is my least favorite out of all her books. I would still give it 3 stars. So this is about, Jesus doesn't care about your messy house. He cares about your heart. That's true. Mary, Martha, we've all heard it. We know it. But I will say this one is just almost too gentle. It definitely focuses on the grace side without any action. And she talks a lot about, in families and stuff, having a messy one, having a neat one, and all that kind of stuff. And I think this was a lot of grace and not a lot of action. Let me see. I have better notes on Goodreads here. Let me see what else I said about this. I don't know. Like I said, I liked it. I like her tone. I like the way she talks, and I like the way she gets her points across. And I also know this was not intended to be like the action steps, because she has 2 more books that are the action steps. But this one, let's see, did I say anything else? I think she does, I read this book with the intention of understanding my husband better, because I'm the neat one, he is not, and understanding that better. And I think her point is understand your why, why are you so messy, and kind of confront those heart issues. But I don't think she does a very good job of enforcing that, or of really hammering that part home. I think having a thorn, she's very convicting, and we all have thorns. We all have things. It's way easier to judge somebody else on what their thorn is than it is to look at your own. And so I think she does a good job of that. And I definitely did feel a little convicted at times, because messiness is not mine, but there are other things that are. And I liked, she made good points about Jesus is light, and to see anything you need light. And so I think her point was, like I said, to help you understand yourself better and why you are messy in order to overcome it, but also to say that if that's your thorn, it's not a big deal. However, I don't think it is a big deal. I don't know. I just don't feel like this was very effective, and it didn't apply to me because this is not my thorn. So there's that. Sorry. And then last thing that I read is Heartbreak Hotel by Eleanor Clover. And you guys, I may or may not have hate read this book because I like, and I don't know what to rate it. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. So like I enjoyed it, but there's a lot I don't like about it. So the premise of this book is we follow our main character, and I can't even remember her name, Louisa. So she was dating a famous pop star, and she had been for like, I think they were like high school sweethearts or something. And so they had been together forever. They live in this house, which this house does not look like, it's like some mansion. And so this does not look like what the house would look like. But anyway, it's this mansion, and her boyfriend breaks up with her for somebody else. And so this is like a big deal. They rented the house, which complaint number one is like, what famous pop star rents? He's got Uber money. Like, why are they renting? And if so, why are they renting mansion? I don't like, it just didn't make sense. But anyway, she really wants to stay in her house. I'm not really sure why. She never works. And so I guess she's just been riding his coattails. So she strikes up this deal with the owner of the house saying, hey, I'll turn it into like a B&B. Give me 6 months and like in exchange for room and board. Okay. So he's like, sure. And it's the romance between her and the landlord. Now, like I said, the rental thing, weird. The fact that she never works, weird. The other thing is like her and this pop star, like their relationship was well known. It was a long time, all that kind of stuff. And there's no paparazzi ever trying to talk to her, trying to get her side of the scoop. Like, this would be drama that people would be eating up. There's no way she would just be left alone. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that. My kids came up the basement stairs and left it open. And so the baby was about to make a run for it. But anyway, so where was I? The paparazzi are leaving her alone. The fact that they rent is a little weird. Then the fact that she never works doesn't make sense. It's not really addressed. It is addressed, but whatever. Her relationship with her sister is in here, which I liked. And her sister was kind of a tough nut, but there's that. There's also her best friend who like simultaneously gets her heart broken and so comes to stay with her for 2 months. And she got her heart broken by a 1-year relationship, which is a significant amount of time. And her work gave her 2 months off to grieve this relationship. So like, what are we doing? What jobs do we have? And because me and my husband both had the very wrong career path. If something will give you 2 months off for a 1-year relationship breakup, like I don't understand how, and like nobody in this book works, and yet we're living in a mansion and it's all fine. And so but anyway, she makes this like this haven for people who are heartbroken. And so anybody that has a heartbreak can come in her room and she will do her little like pop psychology on you. Okay. And so she is like, she was in training to become a therapist, failed the test, and so now she doesn't work. And I'm like, well, she's really good at validating people and making people feel seen, but one of her lines was like, you got to put your oxygen mask on first. Have you guys ever heard that before? Like if you're on an airplane, they tell you to put your mask on first because you can't help other people without your mask and without oxygen. You haven't heard that? Because yeah, astounding. It's brand new. You had to get a degree for that. Like, really? We can't come up with something better? I don't know. I didn't like her main character. I didn't like a lot of this, like amateur therapy skills to people who are brokenhearted. What could go wrong? I didn't feel any really chemistry between her and the landlord. And so I don't know. And he has his own heartbreak, and I got so I have a lot of little complaints. You guys you're hearing them. And yet my biggest complaint is when he reveals his heartbreak. It is a tragedy. Like, it is a heartbreak. It is a nightmare. It is an awful, awful, awful situation. And yet it's almost treated like foreplay. Like, because then they're like, he tells her and immediately they jump into bed. And there are 2 steamy scenes in here. And I jumped forward 11 minutes for one. So it was kind of a long one. So I may have missed some details. But I think they decide to take it to the next level in a child's room. And so I don't know. I should just unhaul this book. I was interested. I wanted to know. I liked the storyline. I liked the sister. I liked a lot of things. There's also use of pronouns in this book that made no sense. Like, they just felt like checking a box. I mean, I don't know. They felt like checking a box. It didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel necessary. It didn't feel like, I don't know. So this is a big long rant, but yeah, lots of plot holes, and I don't know. I still enjoyed this writing style. If this was a debut, I would say I will definitely give this author another shot because I really like the writing style. There's just so much in it I didn't like, but this is not a debut, so I don't know. I know this has like polarizing. Some people love it, some people don't. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. I could see why people like it, but there's so many things I'm like, what? I don't know. So there's that. And that is everything that I completed. Now, I'm still reading my Tonight We Pray for the Mama devotional, and I will finish that either this week or I have like 10 or 12 days left. So I've been trying to read at least one a day, and it's going well. Then we're reading Summer According to Humphrey, like I talked about. Then I'm reading How to Save a Library by Colleen Nelson. So this is another middle grade arc that I have from NetGalley. And it is really cute. It's about a boy who his dad's a librarian, and he loves soccer and books. And so he is so sick of moving, though, because they move all the time. His dad thinks it's like an adventure, and he's like, I just want to settle down. And he really likes where they are and all of that. And then they find out the library is in danger. It is historic, it's on the historic list or whatever for the town, but that is being threatened, and they're just having struggles with the building and with all the things. And so he decides to join this network called Kids Can, and he's going to try to raise money for the library in order to keep it alive and going so he doesn't have to move. And so I really liked it. It's good soccer rep. It's good friendship reps. He made some serious mistakes that lost him some friends, and he has to like recoup from that. There's also a lot of conversation around like hanging out with bad kids and how that makes you feel and how it gets you into trouble even if you're doing the right thing. And so yeah, I'm really liking it. That was a dramatic flip of the necklace. Then I'm also reading, I didn't bring it down here. Maybe I did. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm also reading The Second Chance Cinema by Thea Weiss. And I'm really liking this. This is a magical realism / romance kind of thing about this couple who she's at the beginning of the book, she is a writer who writes about it's almost like diners, drive-ins, and dives. She goes to like undiscovered places that are on the brink of being shut down, and she writes about them, and then it saves them. She also has a show, all the things. She loves going somewhere different every night, all that kind of thing. He is a steady, has 3 places he goes, and he goes there loyally, all of that, and they get together. Okay, so that is all like the first chapter, and then it flashes forward a couple years, and they are a couple years into their relationship. They've both kind of changed and ebbed, and they stumble upon this cinema, and it is this really old place, and she's like, I've got to go in. I've got to go see this place. And so she goes in, and they're playing like The Story of You and Me or something is the name of the show. And so they get in for a midnight viewing, and they find out that it is their life played up on the screen. And so they do like the first time it's their baby years. And so the screen comes on, and it's him as a baby, and then it's her as a baby. And every week, if they go back on Saturday at midnight, they will watch another part of their lives. And so they do. And I'm about halfway through, so I don't want to say too much, but they make an agreement with each other to continue to go back to these, knowing that there's going to be secrets and things revealed in their life, and things that they have not told each other, things they have kept from each other. They also like show all their romantic relationships, and I don't mean that like in a graphic, steamy sort of way. I just mean they're like, we're going to keep going, but what happens at the theater stays at the theater. Well, that is not going to work. That's not going to work. Once you know something, you can't unknow it. You can't walk out of the theater and say like, I don't know it anymore. And shocker that like doesn't work out. And there is a total difference. This is kind of a side tangent, but I'm not a very jealous person. And knowing my husband has exes and all of that kind of stuff doesn't bother me at all. And yet like seeing it play out on screen would be totally different. Watching his first love, watching all these things would be a lot harder than just knowing it existed, And so like, we won't hold resentment. We won't compare, we won't do all these things. That's an unrealistic expectation. That is not something that anybody, like, I don't know. And they have no control over what's shown. And so it's interesting to both of them to see, like, out of their whole lives, what are the highlights, what's coming up in this theater. And so it's really interesting. I'm very intrigued to see how this goes, especially because they have like an opening act prologue, and it's a different guy talking about our main character. And so I'm not sure what's going on there, but I love these that are just a touch of magical realism, and I think this is very interesting. I just think this is a bad situation all around. So there's that. And then the kids and I are reading, I don't have it in here. It's Nina Sony, Halloween Queen. And this is number 4 in a series, but we haven't read any of the other ones. But this is about a girl who, her best friend and everything, has this elaborate costume for Halloween. Everybody does. And she is trying to figure out something special. So she says she's going to be a Halloween queen. What does that mean? I don't really know. But she's trying to make this big Halloween party. And it's fun. The chapters in this book are super long. And so I'm hoping we can get through it by Halloween. We have just the week to get through it. If we don't, it's not a big deal. We can finish after Halloween. But it's cute. And so far, so good. So far, so wholesome. All that kind of stuff. If it ends up great, we might go back to the beginning of the series. But we're also in the middle of a lot of series. So I don't know. But whew, I feel like I had some big opinions this week, guys. I feel like I had some big opinions. But that is everything. Let me know if you've read any of these books and how your reading week is going. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.